So today we're going to update my position on MSTY, CONY, and I'm going to create a new spreadsheet for ULTY so that I can start tracking that one as well. Hello my friends, this is Legend. So today we're going to change it up a little bit. We're going to pull up my spreadsheet. I'm going to enter in my purchases to see what my current average is and then what my average would be after those purchases for MSTY. And then I'm going to do one for CONY as well. And then since I am now in ULTY, I want to create one for that so that I can start tracking that one as well. But as you can see here, just a quick update, MSTY is down. We are down 1.77%, sitting at 1669 for the close on Thursday here. MSTR is down 1.97%, sitting at 337.58. And a lot of it is due to the fact that the markets have just really come down a good bit here in the last few days, right? And also, we've got Bitcoin here, which is also coming down, right? Now, the one thing to note on Bitcoin here that we had talked about on the last video was that if this did open and close under this line, that would mean that this line here then will be our new resistance line, right? And that looks like that's what we're getting ready to happen, right? And as I pointed out yesterday, that separation here was increasing. The momentum bars was increasing, and both of those items being a negative sign, right? And the fact that it did come up and touch it, but then fell back is yet another negative sign. So I'm not really too surprised to see this candle here showing that it is down. The momentum is growing, and that separation here on that MACD is increasing as well. So I think we're going to be coming on down for a little bit, but who knows where that bottom is to where it starts flattening out and then we start moving back up. But it's like everything else. It goes up, it goes down, it goes sideways. It is the market, and Bitcoin is no different, right? It can be a little bit more volatile at times, right? But as you can see, Bitcoin itself is down 1.16%. And the last one we'll do a quick update on is ULTY. And now that we're looking at the ULTY chart here, you can see yesterday, and we're looking at the actual chart now, right? The price yesterday did end up closing at 572. It got as low as 561. And I do have this buy order out there at 550. Now it did not make it down that far, as today it looks like it got down to 559 before closing at 560. So we still have not hit my 550 buy order, and that's okay. But I have it out there just in case it does decide to take a skip down to pick me up and then hopefully pop back up, right? But because of that X date that we had today, you can see there's that drop in that price, right? And I can zoom in a little bit closer for all you ones in the back there. So you can see, and as you can see, there's that price drop, right? So it dropped from that close of 572 and it opened at 560. So it ended up dropping a total of 12 cents, but 10 cents of that was definitely out of the distribution, right? Because the price of ULTY or any of the yield max ETFs will drop on the X date by the amount of that distribution. So if it does get down to that 550, I'll be owning another 25 shares of ULTY. So let's just go ahead and let's jump over to my spreadsheet now and let's update my MSTY, CONY, and ULTY positions. All right, so here we are on my spreadsheet, and this is the one that I have in the pinned comments and in the description. If you want a copy of it, you can click that link to buy me a coffee, and you will get a link to this sheet so that you can use it to track your positions of any certain stock that you want to track, right? The gray areas are really the only fields that you have to fill in. Everything else is calculated for you. So you'll enter in your ticker symbol, you'll enter in all your purchases, if it pays out a distribution or a dividend, and if you are earning any premium by selling options, then you can enter that there as well. It'll calculate and track the number of shares, your purchase share price average. It will keep track of your distributions or dividends, and then it will also calculate your real price per share, which is your adjusted price per share, right? And that is take into account any distributions or premium that you've earned, taken out of that capital invested, and creating a new and real price per share. So I made a couple purchases on MSTY, and I wanted to update my sheet here, and let's just see what happens. As we know that my adjusted price per share will end up going up, and since I haven't earned a distribution yet, I don't have anything to combat that, right? But the price being low, I've got to try to snatch up some here and there as I go. But I can't buy every single time, but I do try to buy some here and there, as my ultimate goal is to get MSTY paid off, get this number here down to 0, and then from there out, all of my shares would be paid for, and all the distributions from that point on would be free and clear gains in my pocket, right? So let's just go ahead and enter in my purchases here that I've had for MSTY. All right, and we will enter in the date here, and this was on 8/19. I bought these at a share price of $17.29, and I purchased 10 shares. So we'll see what this actually changes to, right? Right now it's 270, it's getting ready to go up, and let's just see what it goes up to. Boom, 301, right? Because we are buying above that $2.70 average there. But this one over here, which is my share price average, and that's for my purchases, that goes down because I'm definitely buying below the 24.37. Now I did make a second purchase, and that second purchase was on 8/19, and I got those at 16.96, and I got another 10 shares. And let's see what that bumps me up to. Boom, $3.30. So now my adjusted price per share, or my real price per share, I have increased it. It is now $3.30, but that has now increased my number of shares to 475 shares. I'd like to get it to about 500 shares, right? And the way the MSTY price has been going, I might get there, right? Oh, gracious. It is a little painful, but I'm still buying. So that's my real new average price per share for MSTY. Now let's just go ahead and update CONY while we're here. All right, so here we are on my CONY position. And if you notice, this one is a Rev 1 up here. You can see Rev 1. And my MSTY is Rev 2. And as you can see, I'm doing a little bit of different calculations up here versus my Rev 1 where it does not have that. So if yours is the Rev 1, you can always update it to Rev 2 by just going back to that same link and getting the Rev 2, and then just move your data right over to the new sheet. So that's what I'm going to do real quick right here, because I created a new blank one. As you can see down here at the bottom, I created a new CONY, and this is my old one right here. So I've just got it in the same one right here, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move this information right over to the new sheet and show you how simple it is, right? So on the new sheet, first thing we'll always do is enter in the ticker symbol so that it calculates that current price. Boom, there we go. So it's at $6.69 is the current price of CONY. Now let's just go ahead and move our purchases over. And to do that, we'll just highlight just the gray area because I don't want the calculations. That is already built into the other sheet. And if there are any changes, you don't want to copy over the old calculation. All you need is the numbers you punched in. So we'll just do that, do a Control C there, and then go to our new sheet, and then I'll just right click, go to Special Paste, and then Values Only, right? Because I don't need the formats or anything like that, and that will recalculate all of that for me. And let's do the same thing for the distributions. Again, we just highlight, Control C, go to our new one, right click, Special Paste, Values Only. Boom. And let's just go ahead and enter in my premium from the old sheet as well. So we'll just slide right over here. And all I have is this one line, so I'll just highlight it. Now notice it's the entire line, right, this time. It's not white, so there's no calculation because you have to enter in the amount that you actually earned, right? So we'll just highlight that whole line right there. Control C, back to our sheet over here. Right click, Special Paste, Values Only, and we are done with that as well. Now for this one here, since I didn't copy the format, I'll just go back in, make that red text, and strike through because that one is closed. As you can see, that's the way it is over here. And that's it, right? And that's all. And now I have all of my positions on Rev 2. So that's how easy it is to upgrade from Rev 1 to Rev 2. If you did purchase the Rev 1, you could always go in and go grab Rev 2 from that same link that you received previously. So we can see here, CONY, my adjusted price per share is $9.28 with the current price of $6.69. So therefore I am down even with the distributions, right? But I did make a couple purchases on CONY as well. So let's just go ahead and enter those new ones in. And let's just see if we can bring this down because my purchases were under the $9.28 adjusted price per share, right? And if I'm buying shares of CONY and it's under my adjusted price per share here, that just means that will reduce this amount as well, which is going to get me there even quicker, right along with increasing my possible distribution amount to receive, right? So let's enter in the date of 7/28. The purchase price was at $8.70 for a total of 10 shares. So it was $9.28 and now it's $9.26. Took it down a little bit, right? And then I made a last purchase on 8/1 and I made that purchase at $7.40 and I purchased 10 shares at that as well. And let's just see what that brings it down to. So $9.26 drops it down to $9.18. Nice. Now, if CONY is down tomorrow, it could benefit me to buy more shares, especially at a price below $7, because that's really going to help me bring down this $9.18, right? Because the quicker I can get this number down closer to the current price, the quicker that I can actually start showing a positive earned amount because my share price would then be below the current price of CONY. All assuming that CONY would go back up, right? Because I mean, if CONY went up to $10 now, I would be in the green because my adjusted price per share is $9.18. But until then, while it's down, it's beneficial to me to buy more shares because my current real price per share is above the current price of the stock. And that's why I like this sheet, because it helps you to determine if it's a good buy time. Because if you can buy below this, it's just going to help you if you are long the stock, right? Or ETF. Definitely do not buy anything that you have not researched and that you do not have conviction on. Because I am not a financial advisor, so please do not follow anything that I'm doing. I am only showing what I'm doing and explaining why I'm doing it and my thought process, right? Because at $9.18, above the current price, it's going to benefit me to buy. And that's why I need to make sure that I'm updating these sheets, because it helps me to know if it's a good buy time. So that's my 2 purchases in CONY. Now, as you can see, I have not updated CONY in a while, right? It's just been on the back burner. I've been really focused on MSTY, but I wanted to definitely get those purchases in there. And also, do notice the last distribution that I've actually entered was in May 29th. So I've got some distributions to enter in here, and that is definitely going to help this number, right? So let's just see what that new number is going to be. I'm kind of excited now, right? Because I am just getting ready to add more distributions into my pocket. So let's just see when was the next payout, and we could do that from the YieldMax site. And here we are on the YieldMax CONY site. So we can just scroll right on down here to the distributions, and it looks like that 529, as I do enter in as the X date. It helps me to calculate how many shares I actually can add to it that are eligible for that distribution, right? Because on 529 we had 73.51, and you can see right here 529 73.51, and that's what we did, right? So let's just go ahead and enter in the next one, and that's going to be on 6/26, and the amount is going to be 0.5354. So a little lower than May, but we'll see what that calculates out for us here. All right, so again, that date being 6/26, and we enter in the amount of the distribution, and that was at 53.54, right? Now, here's the part that you have to watch. How many eligible shares? Well, it shows I have 245 shares over here, but I did not own these shares here because I just bought those. And that's why I enter in the X date, because that way I know all the shares that are before this date are eligible for this distribution. So as long as those shares are before 6/26, I can count them. So I can count all of these, including the 530, right? I was not able to count that 530 on the past one because that was on 529. So it did not count for that 15 shares. Looks like 200 before. So my guess is if I add these up, it's going to be 215. And I can just highlight this right here, and I can look right here, and it's just going to sum it up for me, right? It counts it up for me. 215. And that's the bottom of the screen for the Google Sheet. So 215 are eligible at the 53.54. So we enter in 215, and when I hit enter, it's going to increase the distribution earned, and it's going to decrease my adjusted price per share. Ho, I can't wait. Let's see what it's going to give me. 3, 2, 1, boom. There we go. I love it. So that gave me a distribution total earned of $817, and it dropped that price per share down to $8.71, right? Hey, bringing it down. But guess what? That was just for June. I get to add July too, don't I? Let's do it. All right, so we've got July. The X date is July 24th. So we will use that date. And it paid a whopping $79.51 is what we'll enter into our sheet. All right, so 724, and the amount being 0.7951. Now, again, how many shares are eligible? Well, all shares before 724. And this one here is a good one to have, right? Because it's before 724. Notice right here, that purchase was on 724. So I cannot count those 10 shares. I can only count the ones before it. So it will end up being that same amount, right? Because that was where I was at before. Again, I can highlight just to double check. That's 215 down here. And that is all my purchases before, not on and before, but just before 724. So That's going to be 215 right here as well. And let's just see what we're going to get. I'm excited. This was 871. What's it going to be? Drum roll. 802. Woo! That'll get you excited, right? I mean, we were above $9 and we are just about to break below $8 a share off of my adjusted price per share. Yes, CONY is dropping, or it did drop, right? But look, I mean, my price per share, and that's my real price per share, right? Because I am earning this money over here, so I want to count it. It is $8.02. That gets me excited. Love it. Well, now, don't forget, CONY went X today. Now, it pays out tomorrow, but we do know what that payout already is. That announcement happened yesterday. So we can go ahead and enter that in here as well, as I know the X date being today, and we know that distribution per share. Let's just go ahead and plug it in because we already know what it's going to be. And just to double check that, we are looking at that distribution list right here that was sent out yesterday for Group C, August the 20th. And we can just slide right on down and look to see what CONY paid out. All right. And of course, we know it was a little bit low, right? But it's still a 63% distribution rate. So we have this, and we know that X date being today on 8/21, and the amount that we will enter in is at $34.38. So let's just go ahead and enter that in, and let's see what my new average drops to. All right, so 8/21 with that distribution of 0.3438. Definitely on the low side, right? One of the lowest ones that we've got. But man, the market has been so rough. I'll take it. But I am excited to see what this is going to turn out to be. Now, how many shares are eligible for this distribution rate? Well, anything before 8/21. My last purchase was 8/1. So August the 1st. That is definitely before 8/21. So I can count all my shares. And that's 245 shares that I get to add in and calculate for this distribution. So 245 shares, and that's going to generate a total, and that's going to bring this $8.02 down. And I can't wait to see what it's going to be. And here we go. Boom, $7.67 per share. Guys, that is awesome, right? That is awesome. That definitely puts a different spin on it. That changes your mind, right? Because you're watching this price drop up here, this $6.69. You're watching it drop. And yes, you are earning distributions and premium if you're selling premium. But if you're not, you're still just earning the distributions. But a lot of times it's hard to really understand where your price is, right? You know what you purchased it at because you can see that on your broker, right? I can see that my average being $12.21, but I see the actual price of CONY at $6.69, and that just changes how you kind of feel, right? It kind of can bring you down because you bought it at an average of $12.21 and it's $6.69, and you're not feeling too good about it, right? Even though you know you are earning those distributions, it's hard in your mind to factor that in. You need to see that number, or at least I do. I need to see that number. And by doing this, using this sheet, I can generate that number, and right there it is. Now, 767, yes, it is still below the 669, but nowhere close to where you would thought your average is, right? 1221 versus 767, yeah, that'll change how you think about it for sure. And that's why I like to use this sheet, because it really changes how you see your position. It really takes away that bad feeling when you're looking at your position and it looks like you're down 50%, right? And yes, technically you are, but you have earned premium and you have earned distributions, and you know that, but all you can see is that 50% down, and that is hard to get past, and it's definitely hard to want to buy more of it when you see that you're down so far, right? But when I see this number, man, all I want to do is say, okay, Coney's below the 767. Well, crap, I can buy more and I can still bring down my real average, right? My adjusted average. I can still bring it down. So like I said, that just changes your mindset. I just kind of get a little excited when I see that real number there. That just, really, it does. It just changes how you think of it. So now let's just go ahead, and I wanted to create a new one for ULTY because I did not have one for ULTY because I just recently purchased it. But we'll be able to enter in my purchases, and since it did go X today as well, I can enter in that first distribution. So let's just go ahead and quickly plug all those numbers in, and let's see where I'm currently at for my first week of ULTY. So the first thing that I would do, of course, is I would just right click on the blank one. And when you get the sheet, you'll have a blank one, and just keep one blank, right? And just make new tabs for each stock or ETF that you're trying to track. But in order to do that and make new tabs, you just right click on it and you just hit the duplicate, and it will make a duplicate of that blank page, just like that. And then you can just change it to whatever you want to name it. And there, I've named it ULTY. I hit my enter and it's done, right? Now I have a tab for ULTY. And you can see I have an ULTY tab, CONY tab. That's my old CONY tab, so I can delete that one. And there's my MSTY tab, right? So I've got them all in the same workbook, just different tabs. So let's just quickly enter in ULTY right here. First thing, of course, we do anytime we're starting a new one is we enter in our ticker symbol, and it is a gray cell, so that means it's user-defined information that needs to be entered. And ULTY, and boom, $5.60 is the current price. Everything is zeroed out, of course, because we haven't made any purchases and we haven't earned any distributions. All right, so the first purchase is going to be on 8/15, and we bought those at $5.90. And how many shares? We purchased 25 shares. So this is my first purchase, and it's going to go ahead and it's going to calculate everything out for us. As soon as I hit enter, boom, there we go. And we are showing all of our numbers right here. Of course, our real price per share is $5.90, along with the purchase share average price here of $5.90. And why is it the same? Because we have not earned any distributions yet. Then I made a second purchase on 5/19. I bought those at $5.80, so I got it a little lower for another 25 shares. Now let's see what that takes my average down to. And boom, you guessed it, $5.85. That was a pretty easy one to calculate, right? But since it was continually to drop that day, I did make a second purchase on 5/19, as I did have a buy order in at that 575. And how many shares did I buy that time? Well, you guessed it, 25 shares. Boom, and there we go. And we are at a real average price of $5.82. And yes, it is the same as the purchase share average over here. But that will change as soon as we enter in our distribution, because it did go X today. And I'm going to go ahead and enter that in so that we can get our first distribution and we can get this cell populated. And then we will start seeing a difference between the adjusted price per share versus the general purchased share average, right? So let's just go right back to our announcement sheet and let's see what ULTY paid out. I think we all know, but let's just look for those who may have missed yesterday's video. and we're looking at ULTY. And of course, we all knew it, 10 cents. Again, that's X date of today on 8/21. Distribution per share, we said, was 10 cents. And the reason you have to look, because it could be 0.1001, right? And that's just over 10 cents, right? But you have to use the full 4 decimal place that they do show, because that does change the amount that you actually earn. Every decimal point does matter. So we'll just do the 10 cents because that is exactly what was announced. 0.1000, right? And if we can enter them all in there, right there. And how many shares? Well, it's all the shares before, again, this is the X date. So it's all the shares before 8/21. So 8/20 and back. Well, that is all my shares because my last purchase was on 8/19. So I get to count all the shares, and the total number of shares is 75 shares. So I get to enter in a full 75 shares right here. And had I purchased yesterday, I could have then had 100 shares. But that order just did not go through. So we'll hit enter here, and there we go. We have a purchased share average over here of that same 582, right? And that's that same 582 that we had before. But notice, now our average price per share is 572, right? And why is that? Because the distribution amount here has now been populated with $7.50 that we did earn for our first week of my 75 shares, right? So that does help. And I don't know about you, but 572 is a whole lot better to look at than 582 when we're looking at a current price of 560. I mean, neither one is too bad, right? Both of them are really good, but 572 is better, right? So I'll take it. And that's why I like to use this sheet. And if you would like a copy of this, like I said, it will be in the pinned comments and in the description, where you can get a copy of this by simply buying me a cheap cup of coffee, and then you'll get a link in the email with the Google Sheet link where you will make your copy. Now to do that, of course, you will see this sheet here, and it says download your copy at the bottom down here, right? Where it says download your copy. This will be the first tab you'll see. It just gives you the example of how to make your copy. File and then make copy, right? Now when you make your copy, it will look exactly like this. It will have the same tabs as what you're seeing. So you may look at it and think this didn't give me my sheet, but it's there, right? It's all there. It just also has all the tabs. This is the notes section tab, and then you have your templates here, and this is just stating that from here over are the templates, right? I have a blank one right here, and you can make a blank one if you would like, and then you can label the next one whatever you want to name it, right? It's up to you what you want to name it, and that's just so that you know easily what that tab is for, which stock or ETF it's for. So I don't know about you, but I'm quite excited, right? I got into ULTY first week, and I am pretty happy with my purchase. And for some of the others who may have a higher price average, that's okay. Enter in your information, right? Enter in your purchases, enter in your distributions, and see what your adjusted price per share is afterwards. So I think I'm going to wrap it up right there. If you don't mind hitting that subscribe button, smash the like button, it'd be much appreciated. And as always, I am not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. Please do your own due diligence before you get into any stock plays. And until next time, legend out.